Now. Okay, it's recording. All right. Hey, everybody. I guess we're going to begin our presentation. So you guys still admit people as we're going. Appreciate it. So thank you. So I'm the host today. My name is Viet Tran. Hope you guys can check in. Don't use your phone camera, but use the UST app. So it will glitch out if you use anything else. Just use the UST app, scan. If you can't do it, just sign in on the link, and I'll put the link in chat. So give me 1 second.
Question, Via, do we sign in?
No, it's just for Dr. Miller to get a feel for who attended and what do you call it, so we can send out interest emails if we need to.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I took it in chat for you guys. So I'll give you guys like another minute or so. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, you guys can type it in chat, or you guys can raise your hand or just unmute, right? We have, I think, about 8 people today here with JAMP here, undergraduate accepted. And they're going to help you. I will just be moderating the presentation, and they will be moderating chat. Any questions that you guys may have. We have 3 seniors here today and 4 juniors, if I'm right. Yeah, okay, 4 or 5. 4 or 5 juniors, and they are accepted in JAMP. 5, sorry, 5. And yeah, so we're going to begin. So let's move on.
Viet?
Yeah.
Would you like for us to interrupt you while you're presenting to ask you the questions in the chat, or wait till the end to answer?
Oh, no, please interrupt me if you need to. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so just another image. So hi, I'm Viet. Cecilia, you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Cecilia Nguyen, and I am a senior.
Or just say your major too. I think.
Oh, and my major is biology, and I have a minor in psychology.
Noah?
Oh, hi guys, I'm Noah Ortiz. I'm also a senior. I'm majoring in biology and minoring in physics and chemistry.
Martin, what are you?
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Martin. I am a junior. My major is in cell molecular biology with a minor in chemistry and Spanish.
Okay. Chow?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chao Nguyen. I am a junior. I major in psychology and minor in biology and chemistry.
Melanie?
Hey everyone, my name is Melanie. I'm also a junior and my major is biology.
John?
Hey everyone, my name is John. I'm a junior. I'm a psych major. I'm feeling pressure to mention a minor, but we're still figuring that out. So, yeah.
No rush. Min?
Hey guys, my name is Min, and I'm also in the same boat as John. I'm a psychology major. Don't know if I want a minor yet, just yet. Not sure.
Right. Thank you guys. I didn't mention mine. I'm a bio BA and chem minor. So bio majors. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. All right. So you guys might ask, what is JAMP? JAMP stands for the Joint Admissions Medical Program, and essentially their purpose is to support and encourage highly qualified, economically disadvantaged Texas resident students pursuing a medical education. In summary, it is a bridge partnership, right? So they're an organization in which they partner with undergraduate institutions that are public and private colleges, and they also partner with graduate institutions that are public and private medical schools, and they work together to build programs for summer internships and for building essentially a relationship so that they can matriculate students into medical schools. So that's in short what JAMP is. Currently, JAMP partners with 11 medical schools in Texas. I know they will be adding more soon. It takes a couple of years. Dell was recently added. That's number 11. So here's a list of all the medical schools affiliated with JAMP. So if you get accepted into the program, you will be accepted to one of these medical schools. It's just a matter of which one. So you have Baylor, you have Long School of Medicine, you have Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine in Dallas-Fort Worth, you have Texas A&M there in Bryan and College Station, Texas Tech El Paso, Texas Tech Lubbock, McGovern here in Houston, UTMB in Galveston, UTSW in Dallas, UTRGV, and of course the Dell Medical School at UT Austin, right? Okay, so keep going. All right, so what are the criteria to apply to JAMP? You need to be a traditional college student, so there are exceptions with people who are transfers and people with more hours, right? It depends per case, but typically the normal JAMP applicant and matriculant are people who are following the same kind of cohort. They must graduate at the same time with each other. Okay, so when you apply, which is the fall of your sophomore year, you will have to have at least 27 credit hours. I know dual credit counts towards those 7 hours or 27 hours. You can ask our JAMP advisor for more information on that. You must be a full-time student, so they want students who are actively pursuing for a degree, right? So that goes along with the 4-year timeline. Let's see. There are some course requirements for you to be applicable to JAMP. So what does that mean? You must complete 2 semesters of general chemistry with a C or greater by the time you enter your, what do you call it, summer 1, and you need to have finished OChem 1 and 2. Okay, and you need to be 18, as we do have those early birds who get into college at a younger age. So if you guys have any questions about that, those are just the small little course question, details. So we'll keep going.
Wait, let me clarify something. Can you
Yeah.
go back? So for the 27 credit hours, that has to be completed by your sophomore year whenever you apply, or if you're planning to apply earlier. If you're a sophomore and are applying, that 27 credit hours have to come from St. Thomas. Your dual credit from high school doesn't count towards that because they really want to see that you are attending your university first. In some special cases, if you miss like 1 credit hour, but you transferred a lot of dual credit hours, they might look into it and then allow that exception. So that happened for me. And just make sure that you're counting how many credit hours you're taking right now so that by the time you apply, you meet that criteria.
Yeah, so definitely Cecilia has experience and information on that. Do ask her. Yeah, I didn't have that kind of knowledge about it, but yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Cecilia. Okay, so what are the other requirements? So you must be able to attend the 2 summer internships that follow your sophomore and junior year. So these are essential key time periods in which you must block off around 6 weeks in your summer after your sophomore year, in the summer after your junior year. And in these summer internships, you go to one of the Texas medical schools and you basically meet a ton of great, cool people that you'll make lifelong friends. You'll meet PhDs there that teach medical classes. You have medical terminology classes, you have actual medical school classes, and you'll have fun activities, right? I know for my summer internship, we got to go zip lining and such in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, square dancing, everything like that. We'll talk more about that during the summer 1 internships. But essentially, these are key programs that you need to attend. If you cannot attend, you will unfortunately be rooted out of JAMP. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. Overall, your GPA must be 3.25, and your BCPM, biology, chemistry, physics, and math GPA must be a 3.25 or greater. So I did have my dual credit grades. They were not so good, and they were like not even like above a 3.25, but I was able to meet that requirement by making A's in my freshman year. So if you have an issue or question about that, you can come to me and ask me about that. Okay, so don't stress out too much, but do know that the average accepted JAMP applicant is their overall GPA is like a 3.8 or 3.9. So it is not a slacking program at all. They say their minimums are these 3.2, but I can guarantee you have a lot of smart people in that program, and you have a lot of people who are overachievers and hard workers. Okay. And of course the preferences are for people who score higher, right? Okay, so let's continue. Non-academic personal factors, so that's personalities, right? They're going to interview you like a typical medical school applicant. So you'll go to one of the medical schools out here and you will interview for the program here. I don't know about Zoom. It might be posted via Zoom for this coming cohort. But yeah, okay. So your SAT and ACT scores must be at the minimum above the mean, okay? So I know that people typically take that, your SAT and ACT, around junior year, spring, if I'm correct. And for your cohort, you need to make sure that you're at least at the mean or above it to be able to matriculate into JAMP. They do ask for that information when you apply. All right, so here is a score distribution. So this is the averages for the fall of 2019, I believe. So I think it's applicable to you guys. Definitely check on it, right? Okay. Okay. So other criteria, you must be a Texas resident, right? This is a Texas program that's funded by the Texas Board of Education, right? So they spend millions of dollars for this program for across all institutions. and they are hoping for Texas residents to apply, as people who will go into Texas medical schools will typically serve the underprivileged populations when they come out, okay? You must be a documented US citizen, and you must provide documentation that you're socially, economically disadvantaged. One of those metrics they use is the EFC from your FAFSA. So when you do FAFSA, if you haven't yet, you should do so already. Essentially, it puts out this number. It's called the EFC, Estimated Familial Contribution. And from this EFC, you must be at 8,000 or below, and they are very strict about this, because if you're above 8,000, you are not deemed socioeconomically disadvantaged. You will unfortunately not be able to apply to the program. So definitely look at this EFC value. If you have any questions, you can ask one of us, or you can ask Nordyke, right? Yeah, I don't know if there's any special cases for this. I haven't heard of any special cases, but you definitely need to meet this metric. Other requirements, you must be employed as a medical resident. So whenever you start working, you must be able to, as a resident, you must be able to work in the United States in Texas. And you must be able to perform all the medical school essential functions, right? So don't cheat when you're in medical school. You must be capable of learning in medical school, and you must be capable to finish all of it, right? There is definitely a contract. When you sign with JAMP, the first day you're accepted, you go to the office with the JAMP advisor, and you sign your life away, right? And you sign essentially saying that I will complete this program, and if I do not, I will pay back what JAMP has paid for you. That includes the money for MCAT preparation, for your summer internships, and for your transportation costs and such, right? If you guys have any questions about that, we can talk about it more later, but yeah. Yeah.
I just want to mention one thing and then point out the question in the chat.
Yeah.
So for the estimated family contribution of that 8,000, whenever you apply, that's when they look at that number. So let's say that you apply your sophomore year, you have to send in your student aid report from FAFSA, and they only look at that number, okay? So it doesn't matter what your EFC is, your freshman year or your following years, like your junior and senior. So that year that you are applying, that's the number that they will look at right there, because we know that it can fluctuate. And then the question in the chat is, what if your SAT or ACT scores were not that good, but you met all the other requirements?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how strong the SAT and ACT score a metric is. I do know that we do have in some requirements and minimums that you must meet. I do know sometimes they have been flexible, right? But for very special cases like GPA and such like that. I would definitely, the first thing I would do is email Dr. Nordyke, our advisor, and email Texas JAMP, right? They are the direct people. They will email you within a week, and they'll be responsive. And I think a lot of them will tell you to just apply in general. Don't feel dissuaded, right? If you don't meet some of these requirements, but definitely the 8,000 one, if you don't meet it, do not apply. But essentially some of these metrics, I would still heavily recommend you guys to apply. They tell everybody to apply because you never know, right? Either there's not a lot of qualified individuals, or that they just don't have enough talent sometimes. And definitely you don't know if you'll be accepted or not. It doesn't hurt to try. Definitely if it's SAT that you're worried about, I'd still apply. Okay, so we'll continue on. If you have any more questions, please let us know, and thank you, Cecilia. Okay, so you might ask, what is the timeline of applications? So if you guys, oh, I forgot to release a poll. I'll release it later. But essentially, if you are a freshman, you don't have to worry about applying just yet, but you do have to go notify Dr. Nordyke about your notice of intent. So he has paperwork that begins the process of your application, and you do that during your freshman year, and you need to let him know that you are going to apply your sophomore year. Now, for the people who are applying this cycle, for the 2020 cycle, your applications open in May 1st, 2020, as you might have heard from our info session last year. And the application closes this October 1st, 2020. So essentially, those are the timelines for when they open and when they close. And for the freshmen, our biggest advice for you right now is to be engaged, get the best GPAs that you can right now, be the most involved, so that when you apply, you will have a lot of things under your belt as an applicant, right? You need to be able to have strong rec letters. I do believe you only need one, if I'm right, right, guys? Yeah, you just need one. And it's not like a full-on rec letter, but it is like a hybrid rec letter where there are components where they have to write and components where they have to rate you on a 1 through 10 scale on certain key aspects, right? Are they a leader, 1 through 10? Are they hospitable, 1 through 10? Okay, So we're going to talk about the early admissions track and the regular admissions track. I just wanted to reemphasize that Dr. Nordyke is our JAMP faculty director. Each undergraduate institution and medical school has a JAMP faculty director that is funded to JAMP. So they are funded by JAMP, and they also have resources and supplies, and they have been trained, and they do annual meetings with each other where they constantly are in communication with each other about this program. Dr. Nordyke is our lead here at the University of St. Thomas, and you will be in close communications with him when you are interested and when you apply throughout the application cycle. Here's his information, here's his email and his office phone number if you guys are interested, and you can notify him. Okay, so what are, okay.
Yeah, we have some questions in the chat about GPA.
Yeah.
And it asks, when going over the non-BCPM GPA, do we look at the GPA on the St. Tom website or the one on the GPA calculator?
All right, so when you're calculating your GPA, there's different ways you can do it. I'm not sure what you mean by the GPA calculator unless you're talking about the one that's released by HPAC. If you're calculating for a non-BCPM GPA, that includes everything. Your science courses, your liberal arts courses, that means philosophy, theology, everything. That encompasses everything, and that matters. You cannot skew anything away from that. Now for your BCPM GPA, it's as simple as follows. Any course that's biology, chemistry, math, sorry, I'm having brain fart, in physics, right? Anything with those prefixes, chem, like, you know, CHEM, BIOL, MATH, so forth, PHYS for physics, those need to be calculated together, and that's your BCPM GPA. If you need help, you can always ask your HPAC advisor, or you can message one of us on how to calculate it later. The PowerPoint will be released later, yes, in a mass email. We will send it out to everybody, so do not worry, and we will send out a YouTube recording of this for anybody who's missed it. Okay.
Also, Israel, for the GPA, that's the one that they look at the St. Tom website. So whenever you apply, Dr. Nordyke will send over your official transcript from St. Thomas, and then you have the responsibility of also sending him your transcript if you took dual credit classes. So that one, they will consider both GPAs in that aspect, okay?
I'm gonna add something. Even if you took like 2 courses, because I know for me, I only took economics and government dual credit, like back in high school, and I asked if I need to turn those in as well, and he said yeah, even though they were like very small courses that didn't even transfer into UST. So any classes that you took dual credit, you have to get that transcript submitted.
Tian asks, is JAMP for a transfer student who has about 55 credits already?
Yeah, so
I can answer that since we could go to the next slide. Perfect transition.
Great. Noah's going to talk about our early admissions track. Noah?
Yeah, so I'm actually an early JAMP applicant. I applied my first year at UST. This is actually my 3rd year, so I am graduating a year early, and that's actually one of the requirements that JAMP requires of you for the early admission track. And there are a few extra things you have to take into account when you're applying through the early admission. The first thing is you obviously have to be enrolled as a full-time student at UST. The second being, instead of taking those 27 hours your sophomore year for a regular admission track, you have to take those your senior year in high school. And that could be through dual credit or early college high school system. And you must have been taking general chemistry before you graduate high school. Typically, that's going to be your senior year. And then you have to plan to graduate within 3 years, like I am, and you have to meet the rest of the JAMP requirements. Now, to answer your question, I came into St. Thomas with 72 credits. I got my associates at the community college. So it doesn't matter how many credits you bring in, but if you do plan on applying as a freshman, you have to make sure that you have those 27 hours and that Gen Chem already taken in order to be qualified as an early applicant.
Thank you so much, Noah. Cecilia, I know you had your associates too, so do you want to tell them the perspective that you came in with an associates too, but you didn't necessarily apply to early admissions?
Yeah, so first off, I want to readdress Tian's question. Are you a transfer student who is considered a freshman or a sophomore at the moment? Sophomore, okay. So if you are a sophomore right now, then that means that you would have to apply by October. So you are still eligible to apply. So for me, I didn't do the early admissions track because first of all, I found out about JAMP a little later than Noah. So by the time it was application, I didn't want to rush it and wanted to take my time to build my resume and build my connections with my professors. But we're different. So I wanted to spend more time in college and take the whole 4 years in undergrad, even though I could have graduated earlier. And I really don't regret it. It feels more spread out. I can take more classes and get like a minor like I wanted to. And it's still the same thing. So whether you decide to do early admission or regular admission and you meet the requirements is up to you.
Thank you, Cecilia. I just want to reemphasize that if this all sounded a little bit hectic and confusing, I just wanted to reiterate that your graduation matters. Now, you can graduate earlier than expected and then have like a little gap year, right? I know that's like a special case for some JAMP students where they graduate early, but the key thing is that you need to finish your college education by the time you go into medical school. So like essentially if you're applying as if you were a freshman or you have a transfer and stuff like that, you need to be applying as if you were a freshman, meaning that you complete your MCAT your junior year. You need to be, or their junior year, and you need to be able to go into medical school after their senior year, right? Which might be a gap year for you where you early graduate. I do know personally some JAMPers who have finished their college education by now already, or they didn't have a senior year because they already finished with everything, but that means they were in college for 3 years. So I hope that makes it clear. You guys can email us questions about that if it's still confusing. You can ask Dr. Nordijk. We will be more than glad to answer your questions. Okay, so I'm going to continue the presentation, and so we're going to talk about the regular. Yes?
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so just, echo off everything Cecilia and Viet said. You can graduate whenever you want. You just have to make sure you meet all of these requirements. And we'll be more than happy to talk to you about them. If you have any questions, we're open to that. But if you are a freshman and you are interested in graduating early because you have the credits and you would just like to do this, then you can email me personally. My email will be at the end of the PowerPoint. I did have about a month or so to complete the application. And at this point, you have about 3 weeks to do so, but it's completely doable. There's some things like the letter of evaluation. That's really the only thing that could possibly get in your way. But I got that from a professor at my community college because I took a couple classes with her. And you can completely do the same thing if you know a professor who's willing to do so. I know a friend last year who did the same thing. And JAMP is very open to that situation where you have to ask not from your home institution, which is UST, but your community college. And it is kind of a lengthy process. It is very similar to the actual med school application that Viet, Cecilia, and I did a couple months ago to actually apply to the med schools. It's actually most of the application we do for JAMP is just completely filled in already for the med school application. And so it's really easy to do once you're in that step. But you have to write maybe 3 essays, I remember, correct? Right, guys?
Yeah, it was 3. 2 mandatory, 1 optional.
But the optional is still kind of mandatory anyway.
Yeah.
So it is a lengthy process. So if you really want to do it early, you don't have to. But if you do, you should really get started. And you should contact me and contact Dr. Nordijk if you have any questions whatsoever.
If you're stressed about essays, I'll be honest with you, I didn't do the optional, but you need to do it, okay? Everyone says you need to, and you definitely need to. Everybody I asked, they did it. I was just being dumb because I was procrastinating on that. So don't procrastinate like me.
I think for the JAMP essays, only the first one, like the big, like why do you want to become a doctor, is a full essay, and the rest of them are smaller. Because I remember my optional essay was like 2 paragraphs long.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 characters, but like the big one is like 5,000. So keep that in mind, guys. And remember, some of these you can recycle when you apply to med school. And I will say, literally, with you doing this application, 80% of your work's done for TMDSAS when you apply for med school, like actual med school, because they just transfer all your information over digitally. But yes, okay. All right, thank you guys. We'll continue on with the presentation, the regular admissions track. So essentially, you guys can see here on the diagram, high school graduation, meet with your JAMP faculty director, send your notice of intent your freshman year. Then beginning of your sophomore year, you're going to start applying. Application opens May 1st, and it closes on October 1st. And you need to get everything done. The online portal, your essays, your rec letters, everything needs to be done, all of that. And then if you get accepted, you'll be notified February of the next year. So you'll be hosting interviews during winter, right? So let's say you send your application, they're interested in you, they'll host an interview, and essentially they'll judge if you're fit for JAMP or not, and they'll send you acceptance letters in your mail, essentially February. So you take interviews in January, and then you get your acceptances February, and then you matriculate into your summer 1. You start doing everything. Summer 1, and then you go back, junior year happens, and then you do summer 2, and essentially you only do summer 2 if you meet the MCAT requirements. We'll talk about that more later, but essentially, let's say you're in the JAMP program, junior year, you will have to take the MCAT. The MCAT is a big deal. If you don't make the minimum score requirements, you either have to retake it or you get booted out. There's a minimum score if you get booted out. They'll let you know at your summer 1. But if you make above it, you get to do interviews. And interview seasons for JAMPers are super exciting. I do know that me, Cecilia, and Noah are interviewing currently right now. You guys can ask us about it. It's virtual, right? But it's still fun. I've already finished like 7. I don't know about you, Cecilia, Noah.
I finished 8 out of 10 medical school interviews.
Yeah, same 8, and then I have my 9th on Monday.
Yeah, there you go. And we're doing it at every medical school. Essentially, the thing to know is that since JAMP is a special program, we are the first people applying. You will see other early applicants, right? But essentially, we are the first people that are being applied in the state of Texas when you're interviewing, and you get accepted earlier. So you'll know, typically in the application cycle, you'll know by September where you get matched into medical school. But for us, that's like around late October right now with COVID-19 pushing the schedules back. But typically, JAMPers are the first one to know where they'll go to medical school, and it's super fun, okay? Then your senior year is basically senioritis year. I mean, I'll be blunt and honest. You'll know where you get in. You get to have fun. A lot of JAMPers that we knew, cohorts above us, were super relaxed, and they were not stressed at all. They were calm, and they were just excited to go on to see where they were going to be. Okay, guys? And do want to add that your interviews and everything are transportation. So JAMP will provide money for that, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so we'll keep going on. Don't want to ramble too much about that. So that's the regular admissions track. I just wanted to give a brief notice that every medical school has some sort of summer or early spring medical school symposia. I don't know about it now. I do know McGovern hosts annual ones. I do know HOSA. Martin, do you know anything about that? I knew HOSA hosted it my freshman year.
Who? The what?
The medical school symposia. It's okay. I don't know if you guys still do it.
Not when I was a freshman, HOSA was completely different now. So when I was a freshman and sophomore, McGovern did most of it, all of it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So essentially, some of our student organizations here, health student organizations, would sometimes partner with these medical schools to help host these symposia, right? But essentially, you can look on their website, the medical school website, and see what kind of basically pre-summer symposia is. And in these symposium, they talk about their curriculum. They talk about what medical schools do, right? Like how they screen kids and stuff. And essentially, you'll have admitted students, MS1s and MS2s there, talk about their experience, yada, 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 their extracurriculars, what they did. And sometimes you'll have a JAMP faculty director come there from the Austin office. In my case, we had Dr. Robles come down, who was the chief, I forgot his title, but I know he's JAMP director or something like that, right, guys? And he came down, just talked about JAMP and gave this whole spiel. Okay, so just keep an eye out for that, right? They might have virtual ones.
Yeah, we have a question. For the auto admit, this means that I have an auto admit to one and only one of the participating schools, or is the admittance for multiple schools?
Yes, so this is one of the trade-offs in JAMP, meaning that when you apply through JAMP, there's going to be a match cycle. I don't know if we're going to talk about that later in the presentation, but I'll just talk about it now real fast. Let's say you get into JAMP and you make the MCAT requirement and you conduct your interviews. You will do 11 interviews at 11 different medical schools. And they will rank you on their own list, and we have our own rank list, 1 through 10, on what we choose. And you will only get accepted to 1. And we basically put that into a Texas algorithm. It's a national algorithm, but Texas uses it too. And essentially, it will match you to a school. And when you get your acceptance notification, that is where you are going. You cannot contest that. You cannot do anything about that. That is your destiny, and that is where you are going. It's the same process as if they were doing residency matches, right? It's the same program where you basically list 1 through 10 after your interview, or 1 through 11 of your interviews, like of what you choose your first priority. And then they will do that 1 through 100, or I think 70 applicants. Technical terms, whatever. But all the other JAMPers are interviewing with you, so you're technically kind of competing with other JAMPers, and they'll rank you, each school. So McGovern will send in their list of 1 through 100 of who they chose as their number 1 and so forth. And they'll mash it together, and wherever you get accepted, you have to go, can't contest it, and you sign a contract. Remember that, okay? But that's a trade-off that you guys have, right? Because you have automatic admissions, and people will, people would kill just to have 11 interviews. Cecilia, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add that for the previous conversations that I had with other JAMP students, even though it may sound like a negative thing that you will only get admitted into one of these schools, like the match system, they always told me that like whatever happens is supposed to happen. That's why the algorithm was built in that manner. At first, they may have been reluctant to attend that medical school, but as they went on within their years there, they felt that it was a perfect match for them. So don't be scared that, I know that like this is far for you to like think, you just want to get into JAMP first, but I just want to reassure you that if you're scared that you're going to end up at a school that you don't want to, don't be, because that's what is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with Cecilia, right? We know some people who got their 7th choice or 8th choice, and they ended up loving it there when they actually got there, feel for the community and everything. They realized it's where they want to be. And also in general, from what we hear and from some of the stats that we see, most people match around their top 5 for sure. It's a small minority that get beyond 5, their top 5, but most of all, in general, the averages are people who get their top 3 choices. So don't stress out about it, right? It's long into the future, but we will tell you from generations of JAMPers, it is fun and it's cool wherever you go.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
Wait, I want to add something first because it's like super, like they told me this. Okay, I'll just talk. Okay.
Okay, no.
At one of my interviews, I believe it was either A&M, pretty sure it was A&M, they were talking to us JAMPers about the fact that if you don't go to your top choice school, you have to take into consideration that that school ranked you so highly because they wanted you so badly, and that's why you're going there. So it's also not in the fact that, I don't want to go to this school, I didn't really like it, but they want you so bad that they will do anything for you. And that's really how it is with when you get, ranking into your 5th or 6th school. That really doesn't happen, like we had said, but they really want you. So they must have been very impressed by your interview, your scores, whatever it was on your application, for them to have wanted you that badly. So it's not a bad thing. And I also want to say, you don't hear about a lot of people interviewing at Baylor College of Medicine, one of the best schools in the country. So that's a really, really great thing. Just saying.
Yeah, their application screening is like pretty cutthroat. Like, just to get an interview, it's like not even 5% of applications. Just put it out there.
Yeah, and just to add, I'm going to answer the question real quick before I start. Are we only accepted to a Texas medical school? Yes, only to one of the 11 for y'all applicants this cycle and us. We only get to one of the 11 of the list you saw at the beginning. And I forgot what I was going to say. Thanks, Noah. Oh, yes. So as just like a quick, I guess, information point from earlier and that we didn't really mention, this JAMP only chooses about 100 to 110 students around the state of Texas. So if there's only 100 to 110 students from all 70 public and private universities. And and just to reiterate, so it's really competitive. And after I guess the MCAT cycle, they drop down to around 70. So you're really competing with the 70 to 80 of your fellow JAMPers. And also I was a freshman too, so I know that y'all have this idea, or freshman and sophomore, y'all have this idea that you only really want to go to one of 2 medical schools that are here in Houston that we all know the names of. But when you're applying and you're going to these summer internships and just thinking about med school, keep an open mind about the differences between all of them, because every single school is very different. In terms of how they grade, how they teach, where they are, and basically what they do for med school and what happens after. So even if you don't get it, let's just say flat out, if you don't get into Baylor College of Medicine because you want to go there, don't fret, because like you can go to your residency or you can go wherever you want from whichever school you go to. You can go anywhere from any school. So yeah, so keep that in mind. So don't be like closed-minded of like, oh, I only want Baylor and McGovern because those are the best two schools in Texas. Like, no, like keep an open mind about your options.
I digress. Best two schools, UT Southwestern and Baylor by numbers, okay? But not saying those are my top two, but I'm just saying that, okay, McGovern, that's debated. But thank you, Martin, so much for emphasizing that. I totally glanced over it. So definitely you are competing. I heard sometimes they have 500 applicants across the state of Texas. I don't know if that's right. I might be wrong. I think I made that number. We don't know. But we do know that you're competing against everybody for a seat. So St. Thomas usually accepts 5-ish or 4. We had a record number of 4 our year, and then the year after us, we had 5 people getting a JAMP at St. Thomas. And there was only 12 or 20 people who applied my year, and then Martin's year, the year below me, I have no idea. I think it's 20 at the least, right?
No,
it was
9 to
10.
10.
10. Yeah, 10. There's only 10 people applying. Where's your outreach, right? So what I'm saying is that, you guys have a competitive advantage here at St. Thomas. In a way, you're only competing for seats. And I didn't talk about seat placement. I totally forgot that in the presentation. Long story short, Texas can only have around 100, 110 by law Texas JAMPers. What does that mean? So every medical school by law with JAMP has to set out 10% of their seats for JAMPers, right? It doesn't have to fill all the way to 10%, but they have to have it available for any JAMPers. And what that means is that essentially that limits the amount of people in JAMP, right? And Texas only accepts around 100-ish people into JAMP every year. And they have a certain amount of seats for public institutions and a certain amount of seats for private institutions. It used to be only 1 seat at every private university. So you can only have 1 JAMPer at every private university. But they lobbied against that in 2007, 5-ish, and now they can have a lot of seats. They have rolling seats. What does that mean? Let's say you have people from St. Edward's, which is a small private college campus somewhere else, right? And you have people at St. Thomas, and they look at the applicants there. Everybody can apply from those institutions, but they look at all those people, and they say, oh, these people at this school aren't as competitive as these people at this school. So they'll transfer that seat that they would have at St. Edward's, and they would bring it to St. Thomas. And that's what you see here. We have 4 people here, which is not in the technical writing, they don't have a set amount of seats. They only have like technically only 1 or 2 at each individual institution, but they have rolling seats. So it's just per year. It depends per year who you're competing against the entire state of Texas. So yeah.
Alternates.
Oh yes, alternates too. So let's say you didn't get into JAMP either, right? But they gave you an alternate position. Like Martin was saying, some people fail out of JAMP, and it's a sad thing, but it's a reality, right? The stats show for the last 10 years that only around 70-ish% of people make it through round 1, meaning that they make above a 502 on the MCAT. And about 30% of those people have to either retake it, or half of those 30% they fail out of JAMP, meaning that they did not meet the minimum requirement to stay in JAMP, which is a 490 or above. So if you make above a 490, but below 502, you can retake it. But if you make below 490, you get booted out. And those JAMP alternates will take those seats. Last year, we had 1 JAMP alternate here in our institution, and she got into JAMP after taking the MCAT, meaning that someone in her year, one of the JAMPers got booted out, but they replaced them with her. So if you are an alternate, they're still interested in you. It's just the application cycle was super competitive and such. So don't worry about it, but I definitely wouldn't be dissuaded if you're a JAMP alternative. Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, one thing to add is I'm comparing this to a bigger school. So you take a bigger school, insert name school here. They get about 10 to 15 seats for that huge school, and St. Thomas gets 5. And we're a super, super, super small school compared to another big state school. So that's what it means by you already have an advantage, since St. Thomas already has this past year, my cohort had 5 seats. Yes. So
to compare that, I know people like A&M, they only have 5 or 7 people get in, and look at us, we have 4. So, obviously people at A&M, there's a lot more kids and there's a lot more people applying. So know that you have a competitive advantage here at St. Thomas. So yeah. Okay, so we'll keep going. So this slide to go on with our presentation, if you have any more questions, please ask us. Thank you guys for answering. So you might ask, so I want to get into JAMP. What do I do? What are the resources that I have? Use us. We are one of your key resources. I interviewed with our, the cohort above me, I interviewed with a couple of them before I even went to my interview for the JAMP interview. And I asked him to read over my personal statements just to see if it was good enough, right? We are your best resources. We know the ins and outs. We know the pros and the cons of the program. We know who to talk to, what to do, where you should get your rec letters, and who's not so good at a rec letter, right? The JAMP application handbook is a big deal too, right? You need, it's going to be a pretty complicated application, a little bit, not too complicated. It's doable. But there's like small nitty-gritty details, like inserting your grades, certain prefixes you should or should not use. Can ask us for help on that. There's tutorial services who also hold interviews for jobs and such like that, and they can do medical school interviews. Career services, they do the same thing. Dr. Nordyke, if you were to ask us, he's a good resource, but he's getting there a little bit, right? He's older faculty, and sometimes he doesn't even respond to us. I had a rec letter that was due like within a week, and he responded to me 3 days before saying I submitted it, and that was like the entire cycle. I know you guys can attest to that, and it can get stressful. So you got to be on top of your game. You have to put your foot in the door. Dr. Nordyke's not going to walk up to you and say, "Hey, did you turn it in?" No, he's going to read over your application. No, right? You need to put your best foot forward and talk to other people, and that's just our spiel. I know other schools, other JAMP directors do a lot, right? But you have to give it to Dr. Nordyke. He's been here for over 20, 30 years, I think. So he's getting to that age, okay? But he loves the program. He'll talk to you for hours about it when you go to his office, okay? And then you have your HPAC advisors. Best resource. I don't know if you guys heard of HPAC. I know there was like a recent meeting. Long story short, it's a program. It's essentially in Texas medical schools. They have this annual meeting, the TMD SAS meeting. And basically, at every institution, every undergraduate institutions, you have HPAC, Health Professions Advisory Committees. It's a program set up by Texas where you have designated advisors for health professions, and these people will go to an annual meeting with other medical schools, admissions, and deans, and they will talk together and say, look, this is how I feel about application cycles last year. I need you guys to improve this with your students going on. They tell them what kind of rec letter they need, what they should be doing, what information they want them to relay back to the undergraduate institutions and such. And there's more than often, you'd be surprised by which health professions advisory committees members here at St. Thomas has actually probably talked to the dean or even admissions people at a Texas medical school that you want to go to, right? You don't know that. I know that Dr. Nordyke, so in that meeting, Dr. Nordyke goes there and they confirm which JAMPers are going to be accepted at that program. So everybody's keeping a close eye. I'm not kidding. Dr. VR he may or may not be influencing. I don't know, but everyone talks to each other, and that's a long spiel. But essentially, when you apply to med school, HPAC is a crucial component. They'll be writing your rec letters as a committee. It's a committee letter. People write one letter together for you, okay? But they're a good resource for practicing your interviews as well. Okay. So that was a little bit long, but we're just trying to re-emphasize that this application is it's a big deal, okay? It's whether you're gonna get in or you're not gonna get in, okay? All right, so what are the perks of being into JAMP? So as you can see, bolded in red is your guaranteed acceptance into one of the medical schools. But we didn't talk about the summer internships in particular. The hands-on experience, clinical opportunities you have at these summer internships, right? So you do get scholarships in JAMP. Unfortunately, we don't get undergraduate institutional scholarships because we're a private college, right? It's only $2,000, which is, it's a lot, right? We wish we got it, but we don't. It's only for public institutions. St. Thomas doesn't get any, but you do get your summer stipends, which is around $1,500 for 6 weeks, baby. They calculate it with minimum wage of what you would have missed if you would have gone to work, right? So they give you $1,500 in cash for you to take home. But what you don't see is that JAMP spends way more than that to send you out to the individual medical schools, pay for room and housing. Just to talk briefly on my internship, we got to stay in a hotel for 6 weeks. A hotel, they pay for that. Everybody. They'll pay for your food, all of your food. They'll pay for your supplies, right? They'll be giving you textbooks. They'll be giving you all the packets. They'll be giving you a lot of school supplies, a lot more than you think you would need, right? And yeah, so I know Cecilia stayed in the Rice dorms, right? So that's varying experiences. We'll talk more about that on our summer one later in the presentation. But yeah. Oh, and Martin, sorry. Okay.
No, I said it can't relate.
Oh yeah, because it's virtual. Okay, anyways, we'll go on, sorry. Hands-on experience to clinical enrichment opportunities. So when you go to your summer one internships, and we'll elaborate later, you basically go to a teaching hospital and you can see how it works, attending physicians, medical students at that school. and basically residents too, right? So attendings, residents, and medical students. And you get to be there for 6 weeks and see how it's like. You can even network. There's a lot of people who network. I know people who went to the Baylor or the McGovern internships, and they got to network with people in there. And if you get to network, you get to network with admissions committees. You get to network with attending physicians. Like, oh, hey, like, can I shadow you outside of school? You get to do that with JAMP. And there's no other program that does that, right? And I mean, I'll be honest, we think there's a little bias with your summer internships, meaning that wherever you go to your summer internships, you get to meet the admissions people. That's a fact. And you get to meet the committees there and the people who work there. And more often than not, if you behave correctly, ask a lot of questions, participate a lot, your name's going to come up in the interview and they will rank you higher. I mean, for example, I went to UTMB, right? And our summer 2 internship, there's only like 25 people. So every summer internship, you get around 25 people each, right? At UTMB, last year's cohort, 7 people in JAMP went to UTMB out of like 9 total, I think, that went to UTMB. 7 of them were at the UTMB the summer 2 internship. So meaning that the summer 2 internship kids that went there, they wanted to go there so badly, or the school knew them so good that 7 of them went there. Normally, you wouldn't see that kind of distribution at some of the schools, right? Some of the other schools, it's a mix of people, like where they went for their summer 2 internships and summer 1. Like they didn't go to that school. Let's say I want to go to Baylor, but I didn't have a Baylor 1 or Baylor 1 or Baylor 2 summer internship, like, a summer internship with Baylor, but they'll still get in, right? So they're different distributions. Okay. But let me speed up, okay, guys? Sorry for getting so nitpicky on that. But yeah, so there's a comprehensive MCAT program. So JAMP provides MCAT resources. They'll buy you a Kaplan course for that, okay? So they'll have an online portion and they'll buy you books and everything, the whole 7 complete set. So don't waste your money if you get into JAMP. They'll buy that for you. And it's integrated in your summer 1. Personal professional development. So you'll have mentoring. You'll have medical students that were in JAMP that's mentoring for you at these summer internships, right? So you get matched into Baylor. You'll have Baylor medical students that were JAMP students, okay? All right, you have scholarships to attend medical schools. So some of these medical schools, depends on where you go, whether it's public or private. If it's public, they'll get an extra couple thousand, I think, for attending there. But typically people receive around $44,500 per year for JAMP, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Somewhere along the lines of that when you get into medical school every year, okay? And transportation stipends. So when you're interviewing around different medical schools, you build up a cost. You have to stay at hotels and you have to travel there via airplane. And that can cost a lot. I think JAMP gives you around $3,000 1 year, okay? All right, so that was a lot of information and I can't convey everything to you guys, but now we're gonna talk about the summer 1 internships. Can someone else take over? I know I've been talking a lot this presentation, so I'll give my experience after you guys. But we'll talk about our summer internships now, yeah. So summer 1, and then we'll talk about summer 2.
Y'all should start with the in-person one, then we can go into the virtual one.
Okay, I'll talk about my summer 1 internship. So Noah and I, we were at Baylor College of Medicine.
Wait, Cecilia, can you tell them it's a lottery system, by the way, too?
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, like random?
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever you get into JAMP, they put all of the JAMP students in like some sort of system, and then they randomly put you into a summer 1 internship at a certain medical school. So out of randomization, Noah and I ended up at the same one. So you see here, like, I don't know if you, the bottom right corner, that was our little group. And basically at summer 1 internship, we had multiple classes. So we had like anatomy and physiology that were taught by the faculties at Baylor College of Medicine. So that gave us an insight on how medical students are taught there. And then we also had medical terminology where we learned different parts of the body and were quizzed upon it. Preceptorships, if you see on the top left corner, that's me and a few of the residents there. So at Baylor College of Medicine, we were able to shadow physicians at the hospitals, and I was at the internal medicine department. And then we also had MCAT prep. So every week we had like a CARS, which if you don't know is the reading section within the MCAT. So they broke it down and gave us different strategies that will help us throughout our studying for the MCAT. And we basically had a lot of fun during our summer internship. For me, my group and I, we went skydiving. That was not sponsored by JAMP. First of all, I want to clear that out. We used our own money, but we just wanted to do something bold. So we went skydiving together. We ate out at a lot of Houston restaurants because these students are all around Texas. So some of them were not from Houston. So Noah and I were just showing them around the area. And basically, we had a lot of fun. The mentors there, or resident assistants, they plan different events so that we get to know each other. We played ultimate frisbee multiple times. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I can add on to what Cecilia, just because she and I were at the same internship. I'll speak a little bit more about my personal experience. So I was with an anesthesiologist with my preceptor. It was one-on-one. So there was no med students, there was no attending. It was just me and him the entire time. And you really build a really good connection with whoever you're with, just because you're with them for 4 to 6 hours, depending on how you schedule your interactions. And I still talk to him today. He asks me about my interviews. He asks me about my application process, how I'm doing in my personal life. So you really build these good connections with these doctors who are doing great things. But not only do you build great relationships with them, you build a super tight-knit community. If you look at the bottom picture on the right, like this was like day 4, and we were already like super close. We were all having so much fun. I know like almost every night, if we weren't studying, we were watching movies or playing games. We'd stay up late at night and just really get to know each other. And I keep in touch with almost all of them just because they're great friends. And it's unfortunate that the juniors couldn't have an in-person internship, because you really have a lot of fun aside from the studying. And on the note of the studying, I really do speak highly about what you learn, just because you don't always get to experience this either at UST or wherever you go. But the faculty are amazing. They teach you these things that just stay in your brain forever, and you really learn a lot. So summer 1 internship, 10 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. No, oh, someone was gonna say something.
Oh yeah, I was about to start for.
I was gonna talk about my summer internship.
Oh yeah, you can go.
Oh, my bad, Noon. You can go after me for sure, though.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so I had my summer internship at TCOM, right? So when you hear about DO school, you typically have that stigma like, oh, DO, I'd rather be an MD. But no, it's like a different community up there. The type of schooling that you have is different up there. The environment's different. Like, how often, okay, so like, these are the facts, okay? How often do you get to have like different people from different places, right? People from Waco, people from El Paso, people from Lubbock, people from the Rio Grande Valley, all meet up at one spot. 25 of you guys, unsupervised adults, you get paid to be there. You have everything paid for. You have housing, you get to stay in a hotel. You get to have the freedom of doing whatever you want in the city at night, right? You have all these things for you. And you basically get to go to a medical school and learn about medical school things, but on your free time, you get to do whatever you want to do. How often do you guys have that opportunity, right? And, you know, it's like, it's a fostered environment where you get to meet lifelong friends. I still talk to everybody over at my school, and we interview with each other and we catch up. We ask what we're doing. We went zip lining up there. So my summer 1, I got to zip line. We got to go hiking. We got to go roping. We got to go country dancing. We got to do crazy stuff. You know, we got to go explore the city. We couldn't go to Six Flags though, but there is a Six Flags there. But I mean, we got to do whitewater rafting. Not technically, sorry. It's just like, you know, you dip in the water and stuff. But I mean, we got to do a lot of stuff. Now, we didn't get to go skydiving. It was a couple hundred. So yeah, that was pretty expensive, but it is fun, right? So I mean, it's an experience that you guys have, and we choose to have these experiences. Well, in the case of skydiving, but like, you know, all these other experiences they have, they schedule for you, right? It's jam-packed. They have etiquette dinners. They have a lot of things, right? It's not just studying for school, which can get like super boring sometimes, or just like super hectic. You have socialized events, and like we had a murder mystery dinner. Like, who would have figured if we had that? Did you guys have that at Baylor or no? Okay, but you guys did have dinners, and I'm telling you, those dinners were nice, right? Yeah, so I mean, we had like a 5-star course meal and such. But yeah, we're not nerds. Literally everyone there, you would figure some of these people to like be like gunners and stuff, but they're not all gunners. Not everybody's a gunner. People are like, I think most of them are down to earth people who are just super chill. They want to socialize and they more want to study all the time, right? And or that's for my case. Some people didn't have that internship experience, but I'm sure a lot of people, they had a lot of fun. Just to add on top of that, my summer one, I mean, I just think of the fun things. I don't think about like the super hard things like A&P. We had A&P. It was super hard. We had medical terminology, which is a lot of memorization, right? Everyone aced it though, so don't stress out about that. But it is a lot. It's like over 1,000 terminology terms you have to learn. But yeah, so it's a lot of things. I don't know. I keep thinking about the fun stuff when I should be talking about the realities, right? You have cars every like 2 days of the week, and that was not fun. Cars is horrible. You had to sometimes stay late. I know Cecilia and Noah got to look at cadavers, right? We only got cadavers one day, but you guys have actual like looking. I don't think you guys do some dissections, but you guys get to look at cadavers for a lot, right? And you get tested on that. And we got to just basically meet the deans and the medical students, eat good food. I just think of good food and good fun. So, but okay, sorry, I'm done talking. I'll let Min talk now. I'm over talking. Sorry, go on, Min.
Also, basically, so our cohort, which consists of 5 people. So for me, I went to BCM with what's it called, Chow and John. So ours was all online, and sadly, we didn't get any of those experiences that Cecilia, Noah, and also Abid said. Sadly, but they did try their best. So what would happen is we did get lectures. Everything was on Zoom. So right, so like it's like Zoom University all over again. So basically, they give us just presentations throughout the day, and then they did try to give us a lot of connections because, like they said, they tried to give us networking. So we had presentations with different various doctors in different fields, and we got to have the opportunity to like ask questions um, the whole time and just basically bother them, and then they always give out their email. So again, that's an opportunity to get connections. And then for like the fun part, there really wasn't because again, there wasn't that in-person interaction, so we couldn't go out, we couldn't do anything. Everything was online, due to COVID. But they did try. So what they would have is like these group activities where there was a designated time where we just like have like family feud, medical terms or whatnot. So while I do say that the year above us had a better internship, they really did try their best during COVID, give us that same type of experience. And at the end of the day, it was a lot of work, but it was rewarding because they really did teach us all this information that we need to know, and also like what to expect in medical school and like the type of I guess requirement they ask of you, because it was a lot of information in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree on what Min said because I went to BCM with Min and John. So everything was online, unfortunately, but they did have what they called roundtables, which is kind of like what they replaced with preceptorships. And they had like pediatricians talk to us and OBGYN people, emergency surgery. I just love Baylor because although we weren't able to interact with each other personally, we made like a group chat. So then like everything we had to do during the internship, we asked for help, and they had like tips to study this and that for the medical terms. And I still text my friends from UT and Baylor. Like even now we talk about the MCAT prep and stuff, which is really fun. We also had, if you guys recall, during June, I think it was when the Black Lives Matter movement was still going, like it was like rising. So we had a social justice talk, and I think that was when everyone kind of got closer together, and it was really emotional. And everyone kind of like talked about their stress for anatomy and physiology, which, by the way, I didn't take an AP class in college. I took it in high school, and so when I saw everything again, I mean, it was tough, but it helped me for the physiology class I'm taking now. And yeah, it was fun. So I agree with the lifelong friends thing. John, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so I got lucky to be, part of Baylor with two of some other UST students, and Min really hit it hard when he said that they're putting in their best efforts. So we had our JAMP coordinator at Baylor, Ms. Liz. She was putting like 200% into everything to make sure we had the best experience that we could have possibly had online. They spoke. Chow talked about the student doctor panels. It's like really informative, and this is like your way to build your connection. Obviously, we can't shadow with these people, but here we are getting lectures from these highly esteemed doctors and professors from different different medical schools. What else? Yeah, the group chat. You build camaraderie. You make the experience how you want it to be through whatever. If it's online this year, if it's in person, you take advantage of everything that they give you. Miss Liz was like cute with everything. Like, we got these jackets. Chow's wearing hers. Min, I think, is wearing a polo. So, as much as you're missing out on, certain social aspects of it, there's ways around that where you could build, connections with your teachers. I know there's like great professors that were teaching us an A&P, and they're like, this is like stuff that you may be learning in med school. So it's really great to be a part of something like this, to feel like you're part of this big community. So that's what I have to add. I guess Martin's and Melanie are next.
Melanie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I just wanted to add they did really try their best to like make our virtual experience like as best as possible. Another thing that we did, I don't know if Baylor did this, we also had this cool like simulation thing called iHuman. And so basically we would have a patient and it would have like all their symptoms and like their medical history and such. And we were put into small groups. So I was in a group of 4 other students, and we got to get really close with each other. And we had a mentor who was in med school currently. So I went to A&M with Martin. And so with doing those simulations with like those small groups of people, we had a huge connection with our mentors. And so you can definitely ask for advice as well.
Well, nice to hear y'all had lovely experiences. So a little recap, I went to A&M, TAM, we call it TAM UCOM, so Texas A&M College of Medicine. And so I went with Melanie. My experience is very different from their other 4. So a little backstory. The entirety of JAMP, so the virtual internship, we didn't mention this, it was 3 weeks. So the year above us, so Cecilia and Viet's cohort, there was about 5 to 6 weeks that they were in person, and they had like, fun for 3 weeks, for 6 weeks. But ours was cutting down to 3 weeks. So for the entirety month of June, where this happened, my family and I got really sick, like really, really sick. So my dad ended up in the hospital for 10 days. I was in the ER for 1 day. It was a mess. So for the entirety of those 3 weeks, I don't recall a single thing. I don't remember anything from it. So I didn't have the same experience that Melanie had. She was able to, talk to everyone. I kind of just showed up, did my work, got off Zoom, and then, crashed because I was just not there. So it was very unfortunate. I didn't have a good experience. I'm just gonna say that flat out. I did not have a good experience at all. So like most of the times I was in Zoom, I just sat there, stared at the screen, and I was just like, it's time for me to go. It's like my time. And it's such a negative thing but like it was just like I was just not feeling well for those 3 weeks. And honestly, it's just my experience. Obviously, as you can hear, it's very, very different. And out of everyone in TAM UCOM, I was the only one who was sick. So everyone else had got to bond and everything. And I don't talk to anyone from JAMP. I didn't make those connections with anyone because I was just in my own little world of I have to get better first, and then I can worry about making friends over there. So I did my best. I remember one day I had a moment. I had a lot of moments during that month, but I just I did the work I had to, got the grades I needed to, and I was like, time to go to bed, because I was just time to take my medicine and go, because I was just not there. But of course, everything is going to be it's a different experience for everyone, and who knows how it's going to be for y'all when y'all apply and go to summer 1. Even if it's online, think about the best. Think always about the positive sides. The positive sides to it, I got to meet my mentor, who is current MS4 at TEMUCOM, and he's a director of LMSA. And for those of first freshmen who know, I'm the founder and president of LMSA Plus. So he actually inspired me to start a chapter. And he's the reason why I did all this. And I think about like Latinos in medicine because he was that inspiration. So that was one of the good things that came out of it. And of course I had fun and like got to learn about TAMUCOM. And, you know, it was a different experience now. Like I see TAMUCOM in a different light now because they worked really, the mentors worked really hard to help me out during my time. And like, I know my group meet's going off, so I'm scared to check what they're saying, but it was a really good experience. So, yeah, I'm done.
I'm playing. Thank you so much, Martin, for talking. I know that we kind of planned for around an hour and a half, so we don't want to keep you guys. If you guys have to go, don't feel as if like, you know, someone's monitoring you or we'll tell anybody. You guys can go if you have to. We're going to continue the presentation. Feel free. I'm planning on for sure ending by 2:30, but if you have to go, we might end a little bit early, okay? We're going to move on to the second part. Essentially, we're going to, I think, yeah, this is our summer one picture, so here's more pictures. Jenny, who's also part of JAMP here at UST, she couldn't make it, unfortunately, but she went to Texas A&M for summer one, and there's me, TCOM, there's Cecilia, Noah, Baylor, and there's their formal dinner, right? So we have like formal dinners and such. It was pretty cool, and there's us square dancing, and there's them skydiving, okay? So MCAT prep, I think we kind of touched on it pretty good, right? They just give you the resources and they stagger it out. Summer one, you have CARS prep, and then after that, throughout your fall semester of your junior year, you will be having biology and chemistry, Kaplan-led online courses, and then after that, during the winter, biochem, and after that, you will be having other general MCAT courses, and they will provide all that for you, all free. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna explain it to you, so this is like way far into the future. You guys are just wanting to get in, okay? Summer two, we can't, these are pictures from the cohort ahead of us, so you guys can kind of get a feel, right? There's Allison, she was part of our JAMP cohort here, and there's Vanessa, Vanessa, On. So On's actually Min's older sister, so she just graduated, she went to UTMB, she's one of the UTMB people I was talking about, right? So yeah, briefly, to put, I don't think we need to elaborate too much, right, guys, on summer two internships, same as summer one, same thing, just all virtual, right? We get to network some, but not too much. It's definitely different. It's just the basics. Do your med school classes, get out and get done. But it would have been the same as summer one, right? Clinical enrichment experiences, not MCAT prep, all the boring stuff kind of gone, but just more medical school information. What is it like to be in medical school? What is it going to look like? They're going to give you the exact classes, right? Basic biochem and all that. But yeah, ethics courses. So all of mine was just that, okay? Interviews, we can talk briefly about it. Essentially, you get, okay, let's say you get accepted, right? So you get accepted into JAMP, you finish your MCAT. I didn't elaborate, you need to make a 502 minimum on your MCAT. So if you meet that requirement, you move on. There's round one. If you don't make it, and you do make the score after retaking the MCAT, you take it around early August, if I'm correct, guys. And then you will have round two interviews. Oh, Noah, you want to talk about the summer? Yeah, just talk briefly. You can go ahead briefly, and then I'll talk about the interviews after you, Noah. Noah wants to talk about the summer two interviews, or summer two internships, just really briefly. Yeah, go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, so I talked to Vanessa and Allison about what summer two would have been like and what their experiences were. And it's really geared focused towards putting everyone into med school. So for the MCAT prep, if you didn't get that 502 and you had to retake it, you were just hitting it hard with MCAT and just really going at it so you could get that 502 the second time. I actually have a couple of friends who are waiting on their retest scores. They'll get it on Tuesday. So fingers crossed for them. We're all praying for them. All friends here, all love each other. You also have a lot of mock internships. And if you're in one of the Houston schools, so McGovern, where Vanessa went, or UTMB, where On went, you'll actually get your first 3 interviews out of the way. You'll interview with Baylor, McGovern, and UTMB, and that's the same everywhere. So Cecilia and I were at UT Southwestern, again, which is very minimally possible since we got the same internship the first year, same internship the second year. But we would have interviewed at Southwestern, Viet would have interviewed at UTMB. And from what I've been told, it's a lot more relaxed, a lot more chill, a lot more fun. And I can really attest to that because UT Southwestern had a whole bunch of activities planned. We had a painting type of deal. We had a movie night. We had a friendly Olympic style competition the entire 3 weeks. It was really fun and really motivating. And yeah, we had our moments here where we're actually studying and having tests, but it was really geared towards just having fun and preparing for our interviews. And it's a little different because we had to take our MCAT late, so we didn't have the remedial course, but it was fun overall.
Okay, thank you, Noah, for that. Yes, so definitely we got to do a lot of that, or we could have done that. But yeah, to go on about our interviews. So like Noah was saying, if you're round one, you'd be doing it during your summer internships, and you're doing it really early, right? So it's going to be, I forgot what month is our summer internship in. June, May, June, July, June. Yeah, June. And you do all your interviews from June all the way throughout August. And by mid-August-ish, you would submit your rankings. And by September, you would know where you get in. And for us, on behalf of our experiences currently, it's all virtual. And I've had my interviews planned each like 1 week spaced out apart, starting like a month or two ago. Yeah, about a month and a half ago. And essentially how it works is that you go through every medical school, like I've already said, elaborated, and you create your list 1 through 10. You submit it into an algorithm, and they'll match you. And this match process occurs within a week-ish, a week and a half. And it's like instant. You get all your results back, and you got to go where you got to go. A lot of it, you know, you'd be surprised what people would rank. You would think people would want to go to name brand schools, right? Like Baylor or UT Southwestern, because they're like #1. But I'll tell you, a lot of people, they don't care. Like in JAMP, a lot of them just want to go for the community. And a lot of people choose different schools. You don't see a huge demand for wanting to go to Baylor or UT Southwestern sometimes. A lot of people might want to go to TCOM, right? A DO school, which you would think most people have that stigma against DOs. But I know a lot of handful of my JAMP Summer 1 internships kids, they're putting it as one of their top 5s because, I mean, the vibe was amazing, immaculate, right? They had, like, new buildings there. Like, you guys wouldn't even see, like, the food at Crooker, it's like a 1 out of 10. I'll be blunt, okay? The food over there that they have there is, like, literally a 10. Like, I wanted to show you a video of it. But they have, like, this kitchen as a lounge and stuff. Super modern, all made, like, post-2015. And if you look, if you walk in there, it's like literally modern for medical students. Better than a lot of campuses, right? I mean, McGovern's one building. And it's not like, well, I can't speak on behalf because I didn't like actually go inside. I know I went inside 2 times, but all I'm saying is that different environments, different communities, different amenities, right? Some of these medical schools have it better than others, and it's all just based off your personal preference. So let's continue. I think we can't really speak that much on everything else, but I mean, we already gave you the basic information. So if I miss anything, you guys let me know. But here's our Q&A. So we're going to open it up to you guys to have any questions. This is our contact information. Please feel free to contact any of us. I set my group me information down here, so in the chat. But yeah, feel free to reach out. The left side are the people who are currently seniors and would be attending medical school after this year, fall of 2021, and we'll be into medical school. So fingers crossed on where we'll be in, and we'll find out, I think, about a month from now, or a month and a half. Right, guys? Yeah, about a month and a half. And the people on your right are the people who are going to pass the baton on to. So pray for them. They got their MCATs and everything going on right now. So they're studying. So yeah.
Can I add something real quick, Viet?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to emphasize what he mentioned way earlier about reaching out to us for help, because we are the people who like went through everything, who like did the whole process of applying and interviewing. I know I was lucky enough to be friends with Noah my freshman year, and he kind of like told me everything. Yeah, go Noah. And then for applying after October 1st, I think we got an email around November saying if we got the interview for the one during winter break. And I was super anxious and super nervous, but Noah kind of like talked me through it. This might be kind of far ahead, but just a heads up, for the interviewing, it can be intimidating because it kind of feels like it's like make it or break it. Like this is what is going to get me into JAMP. Like I did everything on paper and online, but then I have to like talk for the interviews. But they like you, which is why the fact that you got in for the interviewing process, they just want to get to know you better. You just walk in there with confidence. You know what you did in the past in high school and everything. Know what you're doing and know what you're gonna do. Like kind of in the essay process, I also wanted to add, I was talking about like why I want to be a doctor, why I like medicine, but also mentioned kind of like what can you bring to JAMP, if you know what I mean. Like what are your assets, like what do you like about JAMP and so forth. So yeah, please reach out to us for us to help you. I know it's like 3 weeks until October 1st, so everyone's emails are in the slide. We're good to go.
Yeah, a little bit last thing. We interviewed at McGovern. So when you interview for JAMP, in person, we interviewed at McGovern. So the Houston schools interview at that medical school, and the people who interview can either be McGovern staff or JAMP staff. Because I know one of my interviewers was an admissions faculty member from McGovern, and then another one was an admissions faculty member of JAMP.
To add on
So-
to Martin, Baylor, I had a Baylor resident interview me. So it was a Baylor doctor at McGovern, meaning that like, they have people from Baylor too there, Martin.
Yeah. So like you're actually interviewing, it's very med school style. So it's 30 minutes and they will cut you off at 30 minutes. They'll be like, okay, shut up now. It's 30 minutes. Like, let's move on. So you have 30 minutes to really like talk, just answer truthfully. So a little quick tip. When I did my interview, the thing that they pointed out to me was like, you're very honest. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't notice that. So just be yourself with those interviews. Don't try to create a persona to look better. Just be yourself. Yourself is going to speak like 1,000 words. Like, if just be yourself in front of the interviewers and they will see your passion if you actually have that passion,
So we have a question in the chat. Yeah, for the October 1st deadline, it is considered early admission if you are currently a freshman that wants to apply. That same deadline applies for sophomores too, but you are considered regular admission. So just make sure that that for freshmen and sophomores, the deadline is the same, but the name of it is different.
I do want to add one thing about just like the application process. So basically, like my personal experience, as like Vic said, I had my sister right now, she's currently in med school now. She was in JAMP and I knew about JAMP a long time ago before like entering UST. So what I want to say is like, if you guys are doubting yourself, you guys don't think you can make it, just apply, because I personally thought I didn't meet the requirements, just like, because I knew that like, JAMP is like people that like go above and beyond. For example, like my sister, I knew like she's a very bright student. I knew that like, like she's right here, I'm like maybe here. So it's like, I was very intimidated, but it's better to apply than not, because you never know, because JAMP application, it really is like a holistic review. They don't look just about grades or MCAT. They really do want to look at, you as a person. And especially when it gets to interview, that's when they really want to see who you are as a person. They don't really, you can say all this, vanilla stuff saying, I want to help people, blah, blah. Like, they know that. That's why you want to be a doctor. They know that you want to help people. They just want to know who you are as a person. So that's why mainly that's what the interview is all about.
Just to add on to what Min said, like my interviewer, like we talked about basketball because I had put that, I was like, I forgot why I put it. It was like one of my interests, but we like talked about basketball for like a good 3 to 5 minutes. And it was like he was saying, it's like really getting to know you as a person. And it's like, it's just a great way to, I forgot what I was saying with this, but speaking about just getting help, like we really want you guys to reach out. Like I knew Viet, probably, what was I saying? He was my lab TA. So I reached out to him and I was kind of like, man, I was like feeling sort of lost in a way during my application, but it was through Viet and talking to Noah as well. Like they were really my boost in order to help me get into JAMP. Like I did like a mock interview with Viet and it's really funny just remembering back, because I was just like a little bit more than a year ago, if not like less than a year ago. So it was a really great experience. Really reach out to us. We really want you guys to be able to have these experiences that we have. Not Martin's experience per se, but
Yeah, definitely not Martin's experience, right? That's like a small minority. That's like 1%,
Yeah.
not even like 10%. No.
He's like literally the only story that I've heard like that. So
I literally think I was the only one out of the entire cohort that went through that.
All right, we have someone that said, should I apply for JAMP if I want to be a PA? I know in the chat they said no directly, but this is from my experience. So for me, I didn't always know that I wanted to become a doctor. I switched around like nursing and PAs and MD. And what my advisor told me was that if you really are debating about what you want to do but are not sure, then and you meet the requirements, then it doesn't hurt to try and see. So for me, when I got into JAMP, I was like, okay, then I feel like this is a calling for me to pursue the MD route instead of a PA. So if you're on the fence of deciding between PA and MD, maybe give it a chance. But if you're for sure doing PA, then I wouldn't apply for JAMP.
Keep in mind, this is super like real. Keep in mind that if you take a spot and you're not 100% about being a doctor, you're taking that spot away from someone else that really, really wants it around Texas. Because there's other people like you that really want to be a doctor and they get rejected or they get an alternate. So if you're like, for example, I don't like undermine Cecilia's point at all, but like if you're like half and half, but you're really one side, like let's say 75% PA, 25% doctor, and you apply and get in and take that spot, you're taking it away from someone that really wants it and deserves it. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, what Martin was saying, again, with like the essays, JAMP, they probably can tell like who wants it more, obviously, because again, what I was trying to say, like JAMP wants to know you as a person, so like they can see that like people that can genuinely want and be a doctor and help people, and others that don't. Like so, like I'm not saying that you can't. It's easy to lie about it. It's because I'm not. They want to see genuinity or unique. They want to see who you are as a person. They don't want to be like, oh, like I'm just doing it just to do it, you know?
I also want to mention that I've had at least 2, possibly 3 or 4 interviews where the admission staff or the physician that's interviewing me has brought up JAMP into the interviews, like, what's JAMP? I don't know what JAMP is. And so I explain it to them, and they're like, wow, congratulations, that is amazing. They love hearing about JAMP stories. They love hearing about success stories like that. So it really kind of comes full circle when you really want to do something, and then the people who you aspire to be are telling you congratulations. It's a really good feeling. So at the end of the day, once you get through all the obstacles, all the hurdles, and you're in the interviewing process, all you have to do is rank 1 through 10. It's the last thing you have to do until med school. And it's really comforting knowing that these people who you don't really know are behind you and supporting you, and you just have, like 100 or so people who are in the same position as you are. You want not only yourself to succeed, but everyone else around you, just because of these people you've met through JAMP.
Yeah, you got a family, man. Like whatever school you're going to, you're really gonna have a friend. And remember this, they're investing millions of dollars into this program. So it's in their best interest to get you to be the most optimal student and to be the most successful, right? They really want to get you through there. And remember, you get scholarships while you're in med school and you get merch. So this is one of my many polos. I got a windbreaker too, got a jacket, got a speaker, so just putting that merch out there. But if there's any more questions, feel free to ask us. This is wrapping up our meeting. So if anybody of the panelists want to continue talking, you guys can. Sorry if I'm cutting anybody off. Feel free. Ask questions, guys, because this is your once. We're not going to host this again. Not going to be the fall. Not going to be the spring. It's now.
I just want to emphasize that really do take advantage of our experience and reach out to us, because I know it can seem a little scary, especially once you get accepted and are going to your interviews. But if you talk to us, honestly, when I sought Viet for help and asked him all the questions about, I don't know about this and that, it really made me calm and made me confident in what I was doing. And I think talking to us, you'll be really prepared. Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any questions? I know that we're way past time, so if you have to go, you can leave now. Like Viet said in the chat, if you want the recordings as soon as possible, you can email him. And then we will also send the recording and slides through the UST STEM Success Center.
Yeah. You can ask any questions. Don't be scared about my experience. It was just me. I was unfortunate enough by the gods of I don't know what to go through that.
Yeah, and I think a couple of you are sophomores, and that deadline is pretty, like, you got a couple of weeks, but really, if you're really want to get into JAMP, get on it like right away, and of course, utilize us. So.
Does anyone have any questions? Ask questions. SND likes to say, if you don't know SND, like, ask more questions.
I have one question.
Yes.
For, you said the EFC, it's 8,000 or below. Do you, like, is that defined as 8,000 and below, or like a number in the 8,000s?
8,000 and below. So up to 7,999, 8,000 below that.
Okay.
So you can check that when you apply to college. As seniors, you get to see that when you file your FAFSA. Just look at that number.
It's also on your St. Tom if you go to like financial aid.
That's good. And keep in mind, like Viet said, that's like one of the biggest metrics. Like, sure, the rest of the requirements, sure, but that's the biggest metric.
They might
like, if you meet that, don't waste your time, basically.
Yeah.
Because this program was created for economically disadvantaged students.
Evelyn asked, would you highly recommend being able to take Chem 1, Chem 2, and Organic Chem by sophomore year? I think a little bit confused by that question. Are you saying that finish those courses by sophomore year? Yes. If you finish those by sophomore year, you're fine. You can apply.
Yeah. So the biggest I guess thing, the separation from when you can apply, if you're a sophomore right now and you're taking Organic 1, I think you're eligible to apply. If you're a freshman also taking Organic 1, you are also eligible to apply for the fast track.
Yeah.
So if you're currently taking Organic 1 this semester, you are eligible to apply. Or have taken it already, even better.
It would be kind of hard if you're not taking OChem 1 right now, right? Because then you'd have to take it 1 and 2 spring right before summer.
Yeah, so Michelle, sorry to cut you off, Chuck.
Oh,
It's both, yeah. So there's 10 MD schools and 1 DL school.
I also want to emphasize the fact that last year with the cohort before us, there was 9 schools. For me, Cecilia, and Viet, we have 10 schools, and everyone else who's on the panel will have 11. And they are constantly making schools. Like U of H has a school. I know Sam Houston is going to have a med school in a couple of years. So with more schools, and Incarnate Word in San Antonio, that's also a DO school. So I'm more than sure they'll include those in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it takes a couple of years for them to make them accredited, right? Dell was open like I think 2015-ish, and they just got approval legislation. So when they add it to the program, they have to approve it by law in the Texas legislature. It's like a lot of policy work, but basically at every medical school, they have to save around 10 to 12 spots for JAMPers. Fun fact, the state of Texas actually funds they allocate $350 million. I think the last figure is $342 million each year to medical students in Texas. So on average, each medical student receives around 35 grand-ish from the state to subsidize their education. So we're one of the cheapest in the nation if you look on averages of tuition costs and such. So that's a big bonus. But yeah, DOs, yes, we only have 1 DO school in the program, and the rest are MDs. And you only get a DO if you go to the DO school, of course. And also to add on, UT Tyler is actually adding a medical school, whether you guys know that or not. So we're gonna have like 15 medical schools in Texas or something like that. 14.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. So most likely because when we apply our cohort, we're only gonna have 11. So we can't say for the cohort that's applying now how many they're gonna have.
Yeah, for sure. But if you're just applying as a non-traditional, like non-JAMPer, and no, the stats are good for non-JAMPers from what I've heard. Like, if you don't get into JAMP, but you still apply for regular, you're still fine, you're good. But you're gonna have a lot of medical schools to apply to.
We have a question in the chat. For the med schools, do I have to repeat the science core classes if I have qualified for AP credit?
I can go a little bit. So I'm gonna tell y'all what our professors tell us. You can use those because they will take those. However, I don't think it's a good idea, basically. I highly recommend you retaking those courses now in college because the way that they teach in AP classes and the way that they teach in college courses is completely different. And sometimes they cut out stuff in AP courses because they just need to get the material done so you can take the AP test. I would recommend you retaking those core classes. I don't know what your situation is like. And in all honesty, at UST, they don't really let you transfer in science courses if you're a science major. So you should already be retaking those, and like honestly, unless you're not a science major. But and even then, like your pre-med advisor will tell you to retake those. It's like we all did it. Like everyone here in the JAM panel retook those courses because I took AP Bio and I took all those AP courses, and they just said like no. Oh goodness. So, yeah. To answer your question, yeah.
Noah, do you want to add your input on that since you're early admissions?
Martin kind of hit the mark. I know when I transferred in, and I think Cecilia, you can also talk about this, that it was mostly our liberal arts, our Englishes, our governments and stuff like that kind of transferred in. I think maybe I had like 1 or 2 science classes. Definitely Gen Bio, Gen Chem were transferred in. And so I started my freshman year with organic chemistry, and that's what helped me qualify to go into JAMP.
Keep in mind he took dual credit. Dual credit is different from AP. So AP classes are very different from dual credit because he took it at a community college. So he got Gen Chem and Gen Bio at a college level setting.
Just to go on top of what Martin said about that question regarding, so I know for sure me and Chow, we had this a bio credit that skipped bio 2. And now thinking about it in the past, I do kind of regret not taking that class because in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't have to take an extra class. But it's like when I jumped to that bio 3, I really did kind of struggle because, there's no foundation, so like, yeah, I took it, but I don't remember stuff, so it's like, I do recommend you guys just to try to retake if you guys can. If you guys can't, then so be it. But, again, it's all about foundation because everything builds up. And when you do take the MCAT, again, you need a good foundation because they're going to be referring MCATs are referring all to like early bio and early chemistry and all that stuff.
Yeah, so most of the MCAT, it's like Bio 1 and Bio 2 stuff and a lot of genetics and Gen Chem 1 and 2 stuff. So you don't even get really much OChem. You have OChem sections, but compared to everything else, it's like a minuscule amount of OChem. So the main things are Gen Chem, Gen Bio, genetics, and Biochem. And of course, physics and cars and all of that.
So it is 2:30. We understand it. It is a Saturday. We don't want to keep you forever. There's a question. Is there a FAFSA score range in order to qualify for JAMP? So the only thing they take away from FAFSA is your EFC. That's the most important thing. You have to get an 8,000 or below, but they really don't take into consideration anything other from FAFSA.
FAFSA is, like, if y'all don't know, it's the federal aid application that you apply for when you get into college. Like, that's something you redo every year.
But yeah, as I was saying, it's 2:30. You guys are free to leave. If you have any more questions, we'll still be here for another 8 minutes or so. And you can always email or reach out to us on our social media.
And for those freshmen who are in one of our organizations, like LMSA or HOSA, you can also reach out to me through that. Like, I'll always be open for questions and anything. I love talking about it, even though I had a very unique experience.
No problem. No problem. See
Thank you
y'all.
guys for coming.
Yeah, so y'all are free to go. Whoever want to go, y'all can.